When you look at Mania from a beginner's eyes, they think, oh, FC, I know what that means. Oh, AC, I know what that means. If you think these are terms, then you are wrong. This is just overall rhythm game terminology. Just as if a boomer were to say hip to a Gen Alpha kid. So, instead, I'm going to teach you all the terms in Mania that you need to know. For example, ratio, wrist jack, that sort of thing. And I'm going to go deep into all of these different ones so you'll get a very clear understanding of them. Now, let's start off with the ratio. Now, there are two types of ratio. There's MA ratio and PA ratio. MA being marvelous to 300 ratio, and PA being perfect to great ratio. The MA ratio compares your count of marvelous hits, which is the Rainbow 310s / max 300s, divided by your standard 300 count. A 4-to-1 MA ratio means you had 4 marvelous judgments for every 1 normal 300. For the PA ratio, it compares your count of 300 hits, perfects, divided by your 200 hits, which is greats. So higher numbers means fewer early or late timing errors, dropping down into the lower scoring zones. Now, you know how I said we're going to go really deep? I meant it. Just look at this. This is what I'm about to explain in a second. So, in Mania, judgment time windows dictate how accurately you must press a key, relative to a note's arrival time, and they scale linearly based on the map's overall difficulty, or OD, from OD 0 to OD 10. The highest judgment tier, Marvelous Max, remains strictly static in the standard game at a tight 16.5 milliseconds, regardless of the map settings. All other windows shrink as the OD value rises, calculated via specific game formulas that decrease allowed error by fixed millisecond increments per OD level. For instance, a perfect 300 window drops from 64.5 milliseconds at OD0 down to 34.5 milliseconds at OD10, while lowest tiers like Great 200, Good 100, and Meh 50 follow similar shrinking patterns. Anything falling outside the designated Meh window results in a miss. Furthermore, the game engine subtly rounds these internal values up by 0.5 milliseconds because it checks for errors less than or equal to the target threshold, granting a tiny fraction of extra leeway to the players. Activating gameplay modifiers shift these core timing rules. Selecting the Score V2 mod completely alters the standard ecosystem by forcing the Marvelous window to scale dynamically with OD rather than remaining static, shrinking it to an aggressive 13.9 milliseconds at OD10. For difficulty reduction, the Easy mod halves the map's native OD value, whereas the Hard Rock or HR mod multiplies the OD by 1.4x up to a maximum cap of OD 10. Unlike standard OSU, rate-changing mods like Double Time or Half Time do not change these millisecond hit windows in Mania. While the music and map speed up or slow down, the physical precision required to hit each individual window remains completely identical. Whew, that was a mouthful. But next is this step. Now, this is a lot more simpler than that ratio crap. But basically, Wrist-jacking is an Mania technique where you bounce your entire wrist up and down like a lever to hit jacks, which I've already explained it all. Just watch this video right here. So instead of just using your fingers, your forearm muscles drive a rapid hopping motion to press the keys. This technique creates a steady physical rhythm that keeps your timing consistent during intense patterns, but reducing finger fatigue and muscle lockups. Wrist checking makes it much easier to hit within the strict 16.5 millisecond marvelous window. And it definitely takes a lot of practice to master this ability, but you'll eventually get there if you're willing to pursue wrist jacking. Now, ET. You may think that's really complicated, but it's actually just saying that you're really good at the game. So it stands for extraterrestrial. So key characteristics of an ET alien skill, they easily clear or get high accuracy on maps that regular players find physically impossible. Ultimate compliment, calling someone an ET school or an ET player is one of the highest forms of praise in the community. And for context, it's often used in multiplayer lobbies or video comments when someone pulls off a jaw-dropping performance, like Saragi clearing Ada. I'm serious. So, example usage like, how did you full combo the hamstring map? You're an absolute ET. That score is pure ET material. Stuff like that. Now, Dan's is a really big one. Pause. And this is literally the script that I'm going to read to you for the video. So here we go. So, the Osumania dance system borrowed from the traditional Japanese martial arts grading and later made popular by arcade rhythm games like Beat Mania 2DX is a complete community-made testing system built to measure a player's real physical tapping skill instead of relying on regular leaderboard ranks, which can sometimes be tricked by playing short, easy songs. The community uses the 4K Reform project, a giant continuous 4-song test played back-to-back with no pausing allowed. To pass any tier, you must survive the entire marathon while keeping your overall accuracy at 96 or higher, proving you can handle 4 radically different skill sets that test your hands in unique ways. The test starts by forcing you to hit the same keys rapidly to check your forearm control, which is jacks. Switches to weird and unpredictable rhythms to test finger coordination, which is tech. Accelerates in a super fast burst to challenge your raw tapping speed, which is speed, and ends with a dense, non-stop wall of notes that completely exhausts your muscles, which is stamina. Self-explanatory, basically. Now, this ranking structure creates a long, clear path of human progression, starting with basic hand-eye coordination and simple patterns in the introductory dance, first through fourth, moving to intense physical endurance and fast reading habits throughout the mainstream numbered dance, which is first through 10th, and then past the 10th level, the difficulty spikes into the legendary Greek dance, which is Alpha, Beta, Gamma, Delta, Epsilon, Zeta, and Eta. And those are the only possible ones right now, which are incredibly fast, hyper-dense note layouts where the screen moves too quickly for normal eyes to process, demanding automatic subconscious that only elite top-tier global extraterrestrial, or ET, like I mentioned before, players can ever hope to master. Alright, we're all done with the heavy stuff. So now I'm just gonna go over I'm just gonna go over the rest of the things, and there are lots and lots of different things, but I'm gonna fit them into per term, there's going to be 1 to 2 sentences. So, here we go. So, UI and screen elements, there's scroll speed, which is the velocity at which notes drop or rise, the scroll direction, which you can choose between down scroll, top to bottom, or up scroll, bottom to top. Skin, custom visual files that change the look of notes, lanes, and menus. The play field, the entire active area containing the gameplay columns. Scoring and judgment, max through 20, the highest possible accuracy judgment for a perfectly timed hit. Rainbow 300, another name for a max judgment, shown as glowing blue rainbow 300. 300, a standard perfect hit with slightly wider timing window than a max. 200, 150 low accuracy judgments given for early or late hits. Score V1, the legacy scoring system, scaling up to 1,000,000 based on heavily on combo. The Score V2, the modern competitive scoring system capping at 1,000,000, heavily favoring accuracy. The game modifiers, no fail, or NF, prevents you from failing the song if your health bar hits 0. HT, or half time, slows the song down to 75% speed. DT, or double time, speeds the song up to 150% speed. Nycore speed, or NC, speeds up the song to 150% and raises the pitch. Plus, you also get like a metronome thing as well. FI, or fade in, notes fade into view as they approach a hit line. HD, or hidden, notes vanish from view right before reaching the hit line. Flashlight, or FL, means restricts visibility to a tiny illuminated circle around the hit line. Mirror, or MR, flips the lane columns horizontally. And SV is speed variation, which is visual speed changes in a map that force the scroll speed to slow down and speed up. Now, I've already went over SV before in my patterns video. Alright, so now performance ranking. There's PP, which is performance points, which is the metric used to calculate your global ranking. Unstable rate, or UR, which is a number measuring your timing consistency. Lower is more accurate. And star rating, or SR, is just how difficult the map is based on how high the star rating is. And that's pretty much the end of it. Of course, I didn't add some stupid stuff like, SS, SAB. I'm not adding that stuff. But, sorry, Editor Levi, that was probably a lot, and you probably had to edit a lot to do a lot of work for this video. So, apologies. But that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.